Welcome to Crow Tribe Conversations, another episode of the podcast of North Lake Washington Business Connection, based in and around there's a giant lake in Seattle called Lake Washington, and the northern end is where a lot of the people are, but not everybody, because our guest today, Joyce Joneschiet, we love to call her JoJo because that's just fun to say. Just like it's more fun to say Crow Tribe than North Lake Washington Business Connection. So,
right.
Joyce is a value contributor to our group, and something she and I have in common professionally is we're in the business of protection. So, I'll shut up a little bit and we're going to spend some time. So, Joyce, JoJo, welcome to Crow Tribe Conversations. It's fun to have this kind of a thing happen. And I love asking questions, but maybe you got some kind of you got your own preamble you want to kind of share with people before we just kind of get into whatever. This doesn't have to be only business stuff. This is about you too. And so tell us about you, maybe starting with, what's your Seattle story? Something like that. How did you get to be here and why?
Oh, sure. Right. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go back too far, except that I was born up in the country. So I guess I'm at the beginning.
That's right.
So
we'll go ahead and state that. That's a very interesting factoid. Yeah. Being born in India.
So when I first came here when I was 5, I didn't speak hardly any English. So I had an East Indian accent. So and had to learn English on the fly, I guess you could say. So, but yeah, so I've had a various amount of experiences, traveled overseas and things like that. And but I just really my parents were something special. So they were missionaries. They both spent their life, helping people overseas. And my mom was a nurse, and my dad was he sort of was a jack of all trades. And they were just amazing people. And I just wanted to honor them when they got older. And so my husband and I became their full-time caregivers when their health was failing. So my mom broke her hip and her collarbone pretty close together. My dad started exhibiting signs of dementia, and we had moved in with them to take care mostly. And so we did that for a few years and just helping mom and dad. And I actually had a radio show at the time that I was doing and talking about caregiving, things like that, and also helping people to age in place in their home at the time. I was doing interior design. So my co-host was an architect who also did the same thing. And so we got to share with other people a little bit more about what we called their encore life. So people in the last stage of life, post-retirement or looking at retirement, and what would their life look like? Maybe there were dreams and goals that they hadn't fulfilled. And so before they got to the stage in their 90s, like my folks were at, what could they do to better things? You know, um, what was that encore part of their life that people could stand up and applaud and say, you did it. You've accomplished that goal. You've done what you've always wanted to do, you know. So that was the focus of our podcast. And so anyway, after my folks passed on, I had been in insurance before, working at Farmers, but I didn't really know anything about Medicare. But I'd had a friend help me with Medicare. And so that was so valuable because as you know, Medicare is very confusing and trying to
Oh my gosh.
maneuver through, I call it the maze of Medicare, right? And there's all these twists and turns. Which way do you go? Are you going to reach at a dead end? What actually is the correct path? Because there is, a pathway as you go through this maze, right? So, anyway, after my folks passed, I started working with my friend and doing Medicare. And she was my mentor. I learned so much from her. And so, also started teaching a class at our local community college on Medicare. But I understand that Medicare, from the consumer side and now from the broker side, the advisor side, and helping people understand there's two pathways. Which is the best one for you? Which makes it, looking at your options, your budget, your health issues, what is going to be the best way for you to go? So, yep,
Why don't we kind of break this down for the sake of those who are listening to this and who will get queued up, especially those who are, well, to restate for those listening, Joyce is an independent health insurance broker. Is that the right way to describe you? Which
that's
is
right.
health insurance in general, but also Medicare, Medicaid, those kind of things that are even more complex. So let's kind of back up a little bit and give people a little bit of direction on how to engage you. So one of the things that I know, we know, and I want others to know that you don't call anybody. They got to call you first, right? You're not out soliciting business. You need to be referred, right?
Yes. And if all
Right.
those calls that you're getting on the phone, those are not from people who are doing what Medicare says they have to do.
Right.
So, they may be brokers who are sidestepping the rules, right?
Mm.
Yep.
So good to know. So when your phone's ringing, it's not going to be Joyce unless you've already talked to her and she's helping you someplace. So,
Yeah.
but we'll come back to that and we'll repeat this again toward the end. But this is for those who are listening and not watching this. How would people reach you if they want to get a hold of you? And then for our listening audience.
Yeah. So my business is pretty much all referral right now. So unless you've been on my class, which is once a month, it's a free class
Okay.
at Green River Community College, and I can even put the link here in the chat, Brian, but it's free class. People can sign up. It's on Zoom, so you don't have to actually meet me anywhere. You can just listen in and ask questions. Or
So again, for
else,
our listening audience, so
yeah,
Joyce, if people say they're interested in, hey, I want to know more about this, they could go to Green River College and find a class called what?
Medicare Made Clear.
Medicare Made Clear. So we'll make this easy for people to remember. Another
Mhm.
way, if they want to go directly to you, and they're not so interested in a class, but you are reachable. You've got a very great and helpful website, the name of which is
Encore, which is ENCORE, lifehealth.com.
right, EncoreLifeHealth.com or Green
Mhm.
River College for
Mhm.
the say the name of the class again, Medicare 101,
Made Clear. Hmm.
Medicare Made Clear.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got to say that 9 times so people get it quick. So, okay. Made Clear. Okay. Great name for the class. And you've been doing that class for a while,
Yeah, a few years
more than
now.
a
Yeah.
few years. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Outstanding. So come back to then, say people have done that and they want to work with you or they just want to learn how do we do this? You have said there are two paths that people could take. Kind of briefly identify what are those two paths? What do you mean? Before we go down deep,
Yeah,
what's
sure. Yep. So the two paths, one of them is a Medicare supplement or Medigap plan. And
okay.
we've had those since we've had Medicare. They've been around the longest, right? And
Okay.
or the other way is to get a Medicare Advantage plan, which is also called Part C. So those are the two main decisions that you need to make. And then after that, we look at individual plans and but really, what we start with is your medications, because that's usually the driving force
Ah,
of your budget, right? How much do your medications actually cost you? Now, some people only take vitamins. They don't even have to worry about medications, right? So, but we also want to avoid the Part D penalty, which covers your prescriptions. So we have very low cost ways to help you with that. But we start with your medications. We look at those, and then we see who your doctors are and what plans they accept. So we don't want you getting into a plan where you can't see your favorite doctor, your medications are higher than they need to be. So those are things that we check. Yeah.
outstanding. Now, we don't want to try to use this time to replicate, all of that. What I want people to be intrigued with is and see that you are so lovely to work with and so helpful for things. And
Mhm.
for those in the audience,
Thank you.
Joyce has helped my wife and me with, we're just, we're not, well, now I'm ready for, I'll be 65 this year for it's time for the next step. But it was a year or two ago that you helped us kind of navigate what's the right insurance plan? And I'm an insurance specialist, so I got some savvy, but Joyce has some stuff that makes my head hurt. So I was glad to utilize her help. So those listening, I recommend, check in with Joyce if you wonder, because another thing that Joyce, I'd like people to know about your business, it doesn't cost anything to ask you questions, right? You can help them navigate,
Right.
research, right? So,
Yeah.
but you got to call her. She won't offer that. You got to reach out to her. And for those also listening, another way to get a hold of Joyce, like the rest of the guests we have on NLWBC, you can go to the website and we'll connect you with anybody you hear, and that is nlwbc.org, which is a website for the North Lake Washington Business Connection, more
Hmm.
commonly known as the Crow Tribe. Um, so love that.
Yes. And I am
Um,
licensed in the entire state of Washington and actually 9 other states. So
all right.
if you're moving or you have relatives elsewhere, check the site out and you can see where I can help you. So, mhm.
That's where I like people to ask for help. And I use this example, maybe you do too, about when's the time to go looking for your doctor? You don't wait until you're sick or hurt or spitting up blood or broke a
Yep.
bone. You want to find your person, your guide, your advisor before you really need them. And so
Mhm.
I encourage people to reach out to Joyce. I don't know who else you might have heard of or heard from, but I can advocate for her, and that's what we do in our business
Mhm.
community. Is we're mutual advocates to help people
Yeah.
get help. I think that's the thing that I don't know about you, Joyce, but a lot of people, and I'm a hypocrite. I never wanted to ask for help when I was a young man. I thought that was some kind of a weakness to ask for help. And I've
Mhm.
realized quite
Mhm.
the opposite, because when you
Sure.
cultivate a team, you've got people. And part of the reason, my business includes partnerships, and we work together in several ways. So
Yeah.
um,
We all need
you
people.
had
We all
some.
need supports and advocates. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm intrigued about some of the other things you do. Interior design is something you've done. You want to do some more. You've been a radio host, so you've got chops. You've got some flexibility. And what's coming up? Uh, what's the future hold for you, and professionally and personally, in the next 2 years? Let's just pick 2 years. We don't have to do the whole world. What are you dreaming about? What are you thinking about?
Well, I'm one of those serial entrepreneurs, and so I'm always coming up with new ideas. And
Okay.
I'm particularly intrigued with AI and how it helps us with our marketing as business owners. So I've actually been teaching AI. I've had some challenges where I've helped business owners figure out how to use it and how to profit make their business better, more streamlined.
Hmm.
Um, and gosh, I might be going to a partnership with somebody who also is advocating for artists and also for exterior um, design for people with disabilities. So that's a potential. Um, and
And I
then,
said you said
um,
exterior design, just to help people understand, because that could mean, you know,
yeah, so
specifically. You told me
parks
about this the other
and
day.
yeah, walkways,
So
things like that.
not just wheelchair ramps on a house, but quite a bit more, right?
Yeah,
You
and
said
and
parks
people who are
and so on.
disabled, how can they access the beach, right? If you're in a wheelchair and you're trying to get across a sandy beach, how hard is that?
Right.
And so the gal I'm talking to actually was instrumental in even creating curb cutouts in sidewalks. So
As
she's got
simple
a
as that.
wonderful
Yeah.
history of that. Yeah. And everybody benefits from that, right?
Sure.
Skateboarders, people with prams, people with um, just walking. So yeah.
Those of us who haven't had to deal with that, and maybe it doesn't, we take for granted how easy it is to get up and down stairs, but not for everybody. And I was a young man when I learned something. It kind of hit me that somebody was moving. And when you're a young college guy, somebody's buying the pizza and beer and we're helping. They said, make sure you get Johnny. Well, Johnny was this great, hilarious guy as part of our crew. He was in a wheelchair. He fell out of a chair when he was 8, out of a tree when he was 8, and
Mhm.
he never grew from the waist down after that. So, uh, but
Mhm.
man, we couldn't have moved without him, because he brought his chair and he just plopped out, and then he started barking directions, telling people how to use that like a dolly and get things done. But he was also a matter of fact about about, what he can and can't do. But at the time, I had a
Yeah.
girlfriend who wanted to go roller skating, and Johnny said, "I'm taking her. I got the wheels. I'm taking your girlfriend." Oh, fine, Johnny, whatever. So, but to
Yeah.
talk matter of fact about what do people want, what do people need, and how to team up and help. So, I'm excited to hear more about that particular episode as well as all the other things you're doing. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so those are things you're going to branch out or maybe transition, or how does that? Are you going to continue to do the help with the
Oh, yeah. It
insurance
would be in
broker?
addition to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm doing now with Medicare, that's my primary focus. That's my love, my first love, you know.
Okay.
So helping people with that. We all need Medicare at some point, right? So I want to be the person to help with that. But yeah, no, these are like side fun things and pursuits. So
Outstanding. Well, I love it up here in the upper left part of the country, as having been born in Hawaii and raised all over the place. So my wife and I love it here in this part of the world. So,
yeah.
and meeting you and people like you in your community is part of the good stuff. So
Mhm.
we're as we said before, we want to kind of keep these digestible, these little podcast episodes. They're somewhere in a 20-minute range or so, and we're coming up against that. Uh, what are some let's not leave anything on the table though. So for you and me, what are some nuggets you'd like people to take with them? We've shared a couple things, but I don't need to lead it all. What is something you want to make
Yeah.
sure people think about? Go ahead.
Well, that Medicare isn't as complicated as it initially can look, right? I can help you figure that out, and I can make it easy and simple. So it's not as complicated as you might think of, right? So yeah, there's lots of whys and wherefores, and I go to school every year. I have a 20-hour class through Medicare that I have to learn all the new rules. I learn all about every carrier's plans. So I do the heavy lifting for you. So you don't have to figure all that out, you know. So I want to make
How
things
about let me offer this? It occurs to me that you do all that work and then you pick whichever carrier is best for them, and that carrier pays you. The clients, the people who are asking you
yes.
for research, they don't pay you. So
Yeah.
it behooves them to research you and you help them do it all. And whoever is best will compensate you. There's no cost for customers, our friends and associates who would talk
Yeah.
to you. Uh, but that is also, to be clear, that's how you get paid, right? They gotta
It
work
is.
through you to get the deal
Mm-hmm.
set up. So we'd
Yeah.
rather them not use your time and then go do something else. But in order for you to make your time worthwhile to them, we expect them to utilize you to, uh, how do you describe that? Make that attachment, close the deal, or finalize the appropriate
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
insurance
Finish the
company.
enrollment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I build my business. So,
Finish the enrollment. That's the right term to use. I
mhm.
also, being independent, I tell people I work for my clients and my wife, but actually the other way around. But as an independent insurance specialist, I can get the insurance companies to compete to see what's best. So I
Yeah.
imagine you have something similar. You can figure out what's the best
Hmm.
company, who's got the best solution. So
Very much. Yes. Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. Well, proud to partner with you in protecting the people in the Northwest and the other states that we both do business in,
Yeah. You too,
and that's a
Brian.
proud way to work. So I want to do more of these. I like having a little snack-sized podcast instead of
Mhm.
arduous ones that require people to take a nap and pause in the middle. So how about we'll round it up for today? And let's, as we're wrapping up, and please for the listeners, repeat your website and how to reach you, including that class is
Mhm.
probably two great ways. So why don't you restate that for the listeners?
Yes, EncoreLifeHealth.com is the website, and that is Encore. So, and then Medicare Made Clear, Medicare 101 class at Green River College. So it's in believe it's in the continuing education department. So,
All right. And for the listeners,
mhm.
if you happen to miss all of that, then the five letters that define the website that sponsors this podcast is NLWBC.org. You can also contact us through the website and we'll connect you with
Mhm.
JoJo and make good things happen. Protect
Yeah.
yourself and your family and friends and make good things happen. So thank you, Joyce. It's a Friday, so we're wrapping up our work week. some of us working weekends, at least I do. So we work when people need to be worked with. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. It's been fun, and we'll do some more stuff. And maybe next time we'll talk about that exterior design thing. That'd be a specific thing, because we've got Medicare, we've addressed that, but I'm intrigued with what that means. And that's, I can't say I know anybody else who specializes in that. So you're the one.
Yeah.
So
that'd be great. Yeah.
thank you,
so
JoJo.
much.
Have a great weekend, everybody,
Brian.
and see you the next time. Cheers.
All right. Thank you.